Casino project in Kenosha denied.
Japanese hostage situation still unclear. I'm Dan Campbell.
And I'm Dane Wormlinger, and this is your Public Eye News. Due to the No Cayman on Ski and snowshoe races, many streets in Marquette will be closed on January 24th from 3 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. The closures affect Lakeshore Boulevard from Fair Avenue to Wright Street from Lakeshore Boulevard to Presque Isle Avenue, Schneider Mill Court from River Park Circle to the end of Schneider Mill Court, and Powder Mill Road from Wright Street to the end of the road. If you are looking for a detour, it will be provided along Presque Isle Avenue and Fair Avenue. Last night, amateur drag performers competed at Northern Michigan University for a chance to appear in a professional show. This competition is one of the largest and longest-running shows organized by students at the university. Drag performer Levi Brader said that, quote, "We compete doing songs, we lip-sing, and we do makeup to change our faces and appearances," end quote. The winner of the show will appear alongside professional drag performers tonight at 8 p.m. at the Vandement Arena.
A woman in connection with the December meth bust in Ishpeming, which sent 2 police officers to the hospital, appeared in Marquette County Court. Amy Fraley was arraigned and pleaded guilty to third-degree possession and use of methamphetamine. Fraley waived her preliminary examination earlier this month. You may remember Fraley and another suspect were also hospitalized following the meth bust, but they left the hospital before they were officially released. Both were later taken into custody by police. Her plea agreement, which will require Fraley to enter a rehab facility. Sentencing for Fraley is scheduled for February 27th. The Michigan Tech Enterprise Corporation Smart Zone in Houghton plays a major role in creating jobs in the area. In fact, last year, 83 jobs were developed, almost double from 2013. One shining example of job creation comes from GNS Engineering, a company that provides businesses across America with engineering solutions. With the help of MTech Smart Zone, they went from 10 employees to 50. This incubator helps starting businesses with funding and temporary office space until they become financially sustainable. But not only do they bring jobs to the area, last year they funneled almost $19 million into the area. Smart Zone looks to bring in more businesses to expand and reach and hire local talent.
Safety is a priority of the Pinckney Community School District. The district is mounting cameras inside 10 of its school buses. The purchase of the kits was approved by the Pinckney Board of Education. Rick Todd, superintendent of the board, says that it's a good time to invest in the technology because the prices of the cameras have dropped quickly over the last few years. The kits have 4 cameras each, which will be placed in different locations on the buses to record incidents that may happen and to improve safety for the students. The Menominee Indian Tribe of Wisconsin has been pushing for a casino in Kenosha for years. The Menominee Nation put in a request to build the casino, and Governor Scott Walker has denied the request this week. The nation wanted the casino to lure gamblers from Milwaukee and Chicago to help pull the northeastern Wisconsin tribe out of poverty. The Forest County Potawatomi continues to be against the project as it may steal profits from their Milwaukee casino. And after the break, we'll have your national and international news. Stay tuned.
Coming up on Austin City Limits. Tune in Saturday night at 11.
Welcome back. Prayers are being offered at Tokyo's largest mosque for 2 Japanese hostages threatened with beheading by Islamic militants who have demanded a $200 million ransom for their release. Militants affiliated with the Islamic State group have posted an online warning that the countdown has begun for the extremists to kill 47-year-old Kenji Goto and 42-year-old Hirano Yukawa. The extremists gave Prime Minister Shinzo Abe 72 hours to pay the ransom, and the deadline has expired. Abe has been meeting with his National Security Council on this crisis. The status of efforts to free the men is unclear. A government spokesman is using every channel it can find to win the hostages' release, but there has been no direct contact with the captors. One of America's closest allies in the Middle East has died. Funeral services are now underway for Saudi Arabia's King Abdullah. King Abdullah's half-brother Solomon immediately succeeded him. The 79-year-old had been performing many of his brother's responsibilities during the past year. Susan McGinnis has more from Washington, D.C.
World leaders gathered for the funeral of Saudi Arabia's King Abdullah this morning. He was then buried in an unmarked grave. Just hours ago, the newly appointed King Salman addressed the country and assured a smooth transition. After the announcement of the 90-year-old monarch's death, thousands of pilgrims mourned him in Mecca. As ruler of an oil-rich nation, the king was among the wealthiest men in the world. He worked to modernize Saudi Arabia, give more freedom to women, and was a strong U.S. ally in the battle against al-Qaeda. President Obama visited the ailing leader last March. He issued a statement expressing his condolences and said, "I always valued King Abdullah's perspective and appreciated our genuine and warm friendship."
You're very kind, Your Majesty.
Former President George W. Bush called the king an important ally and said he had fond memories of his visits with him. But the monarch did not always agree with U.S. policies. King Abdullah pushed the Obama administration to take a tougher stand against Iran's nuclear ambitions, and he wanted stronger U.S. support for Sunni rebels fighting in Syria. The White House says Vice President Biden will lead a U.S. delegation to Saudi Arabia in the coming days to pay respects to the king's family. Susan McGinnis, CBS News, Washington.
Officials say that Indonesian divers have finally been able to enter the fuselage of the AirAsia jetliner that crashed into the Java Sea last month. 6 bodies were retrieved from the fuselage this week. Suryati Bambang Supriyati, operations chief of the National Search and Rescue Agency, said on Friday that the divers had seen more bodies inside the fuselage, but cables and other debris from the wreckage blocked their way. So far, a total of 65 bodies have been removed from AirAsia Flight 8501. The aircraft crashed on December 28th with 162 people on board. Bad weather may be to blame. Well, the field of Republicans running for president could soon be expanding with the likely entrance of Florida Senator Marco Rubio. CBS News has confirmed Rubio is taking the first steps for a possible run. Mark Albert has the details from Washington.
Florida Senator Marco Rubio is a step closer to officially entering the 2016 White House race. A Rubio aide confirms he has hired a new fundraiser and is planning a trip to California and a swing through the early voting states. Last Sunday, Rubio spoke to Bob Schieffer on Face the Nation about a possible run.
I'm going to go out and run a campaign where I'm going to explain to people, not only do I understand the national security threats that we face, but that I believe that we need to turn the page and fully embrace all the opportunities and confront the challenges of a new century.
A recent CBS News poll asking Republicans who they'd like to see run shows Mitt Romney and Jeb Bush far ahead of Rubio.
Well, I'm definitely not a movie star, that's for sure.
Thursday, the former Florida governor got a celebrity welcome as he arrived in Salt Lake City for a sit-down with 2012 GOP nominee Mitt Romney. The meeting was scheduled before Romney expressed interest in a third run. Bush's spokeswoman said they enjoyed visiting. Other potential candidates are on their way to Iowa for Congressman Steve King's Freedom Summit.
All of us want an opportunity to speak to Iowans about what's at stake for our nation.
Conservatives at Saturday's gathering will also hear from Senator Ted Cruz, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker, and New Jersey Governor Chris Christie. Mark Albert for CBS News, Washington.
Rio de Janeiro state's top environmental officials have acknowledged that the Olympic pledge of slashing the levels of pollution flowing into the trash and raw sewage-filled Guanabara Bay by 80% is unattainable by next year's Summer Games. Andre Correa says he couldn't provide an estimate of how much officials would actually succeed in cutting the flow of pollutants into the bay, where the Olympic sailing and windsurfing competitions are to be held. Environmentalists have been warning of negligible progress in the cleanup efforts for a year. Sailors' associations have also expressed reservations about water quality in the bay and voiced concerns that it could make athletes sick. One of 2 teenagers suspected in a multi-state crime spree, including stolen cars and bogus checks, has returned to Kentucky to face several charges, including statutory rape. Local news outlets report 18-year-old Dalton Hayes was crying during his arraignment Thursday at the Grayson County Courthouse. He pleaded not guilty to charges of statutory rape, custodial interference, criminal mischief, trespassing, theft, and burglary. Hayes was arrested in Panama City Beach, Florida on Saturday, 2 weeks after he disappeared with his 13-year-old girlfriend. And stay tuned because after the break, we'll be back with your weather and sports.
Coming up this week on High School Bowl, 2 great matches for you. In our first, the Menominee Maroons return to take on the defending champion, Houghton Gremlins. Hi, I'm Jim Koski, and then in our second game, two schools that are like almost close enough to throw a snowball at each other take part as Big Bay Denok goes up against Rapid River. That's coming up this week on High School Bowl.
Welcome back to Public Eye News. I am Floyd Smith here with your local weather. As you can see behind me in the Academic Mall, the snow is melting, but do not get used to it. We have snow coming. Let's take a look at your current conditions. Currently, it is cloudy with a temperature of 32 degrees and winds going west-southwest at 18 miles per hour, and the barometric pressure sits at 29.71 inches and steady. Tonight, there will be flurries with a low of 29 and winds going west at 7 miles per hour. And tomorrow, there will be snow showers with a high of 32 and winds going north-northwest at 12 miles per hour. Let's take a look around the UP. In Sault Ste. Marie, it will be 31 and cloudy. In Manistee, it will also be cloudy and 28. Escanaba, it will be 30 and cloudy. In Menominee, it will also be 30 and cloudy. In Iron Mountain, it will be 32 and cloudy. In Ironwood, it will be 36 and sunny. In Houghton, it will be 36 and cloudy. And back here in Marquette, it will be 32 and cloudy. Let's take a look at your week ahead. Sunday, there's a high of 18 and a low of 4 and cloudy. Monday, there's a high of 19, low of 14 and cloudy. And Tuesday, there's a high of 27, low of 20 and cloudy. So, Eric, I hear some of the X Games participants are taking advantage of the snow.
Yes, they are. The X Games are rolling along and going really well for a Michigan native. As the X Games are continuing on, the men's snowboard superpipe final ended with Danny Davis winning the gold. The Highland, Michigan native ended his last run with a 93.66 as he executed 6 straight flawless jumps to seal his second consecutive gold in the event. Some people put an asterisk on Danny's first gold as Sean White wasn't competing last year. He put that to rest as White competed in this year's event and failed to reach the podium, finishing 4th overall. White looked good on his first run but only went downhill from there as his final score was 62.66. He left the event without leaving a comment. The NFL says it is still investigating how the New England Patriots used underinflated balls in last week's game and have no conclusions and no timetable for resolving the cheating accusations with the Super Bowl just 9 days away. The league said Friday that evidence shows the Patriots did use underinflated footballs during the first half of the AFC Championship game against the Colts. It issued a statement that the Patriots have pledged full cooperation and have given the league information that they have requested. The league said when it is able to come to conclusions, they will be shared publicly. Jeff Gordon said a year ago that if he won a 5th NASCAR championship in 2014, he'd call it quits on his remarkable career. He fell just short of another title, but acknowledged Thursday he never would have done it anyway. Instead, this year, his 23rd placing in the Elite Cup Series will be his last. He goes into his final season with 92 wins, trailing only Hall of Famer drivers Richard Petty and David Pearson. Gordon said last season a 4-win campaign in which he led the point standings for much of the year only fueled him to go out on top this year. Gordon said, quote, "I'm motivated by that. As good as we ran last year, I don't see any reason why we can't do that one more time," end quote. So Dan, Jeff Gordon's a real standout guy, but I hear prisoners are standing out as well in Georgia.
They are. In Georgia, they're starting to stand out a little more. Some say real men wear pink, but in Grovetown, Georgia, one prison official has adopted the color for their new jail uniforms. Chief Gary Jones says he wants to make sure his prisoners never come back. He says he plans to have his inmates wear the hot pink uniforms while picking up trash along the highway. He says also, as well, he wants people to drive by and not want to be in that same position. And lastly, it's a big pie to celebrate a big state's birthday. A Michigan bakery has created a 25-pound fruit pie to mark the state's 178th birthday. The Grand Traverse Pie Company will be giving out samples Monday to mark the anniversary of Michigan becoming the 26th state. When asked about her motivation for making such a big pie, bakery manager Kelly Gathier says, "It's just fun to do something cool." And that's all the time we have for you today here at Public Eye News. Be sure to tune in again on Monday.
Have a good weekend.